myself do not have the floor. Thank you.
Raadslid Hayden Reuters, kan u my hoor?
Ja, ik kan niet horen. Als ons nou, zit nou samen met u?
Baie dankie Raadslid, ons neem kennis, dit kom goed dankie met u.
Dank u.
Sonja, ek hoef dit presies aanbod om te koop maak. Jy kan dit mos maar net 'n koopkontrak doen.
Councillor Mathiela, please confirm if you can hear me.
I'm in.
Noted, Councillor.
Thank you.
Raadslid Rousseau, goeiemôre. Bevestig of u my kan hoor asseblief. Alderman Chair, good morning. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I can hear you. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, colleagues. Notice is hereby given in terms of Section 29 of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act 117 of 1998 that a council meeting of the 2016-2021 term of the Gardenwood District Municipality by Zoom on this day, Friday, 22nd of January 2021 at 11 hours to consider the items set in the agenda. Let me take this opportunity to welcome everyone. Good morning, Executive Mayor, Deputy Executive Mayor, all precious councillors, elder ladies, elder men, all councillors, municipal manager. Good morning to you with your senior executive management, all your staff, our secretariat, everybody that is listening in. Thank you for joining us. We always believe that we should be transparent and accountable so that you can see exactly what we're doing. We are here, service above self. We are here to serve our people. Thank you very much for everybody tuning in and connecting to this council session, which you productive and a constructive council meeting. And please feel free, in terms of our rules of order, to participate in the debates that will be dealt with, that will happen during the items that we need to do today. Let me also just confirm that we have an addendum to our council agenda, and we also have a matter that we consider in closed session. In closed session, we will do it lastly, and I'm going to change the order of the agenda so that we can first do the inauguration of new councillors, and then we will proceed with the rest of the meeting. But let me then at this moment in time, please request that we have a silent prayer, and wherever men, gentlemen, find themselves, to please stand when we do that. Colleagues, I'm thinking, I think we all do. We all sincerely think of those people that have lost loved ones due to COVID-19. There are, you know, the numbers became names, and we know them. It has changed from numbers to people close to us. Councillor Busak, for instance, and Councillor De Vries both lost their mothers. Councillor Pomerans also lost a close family member. There are, my apologies for not mentioning all the other people, but there are so many also close to us that we've lost. So, simply what I would also like to do is that this day, like a whole nation, we honestly mourn an exemplary, dignified, human leader, our minister, Jackson Mthembu. I think the COVID has robbed us of an extremely special leader and person. So when we rise, or when we have this moment of silence, and it includes Mr. Municipal Manager, our President Staff, we've also lost. Let's cherish what they left behind, the way they lived, the way they worked, the way they treated people. Let's think of them and let's follow the legacy. And I then please call for a moment of silence and the fight against gender-based violence against your mothers, our sisters, our brothers, our aunts continues. Let's also think of those people that have been struck by the pandemic of gender violence. Can we then please have a minute of silence? And I request all gents please to stand up there. Thank you very much. I now request Diana and Alvera, please to call each and every councillor's name so that we can record your attendance. You don't have to say, hello, I'm here. We leave that to Secretariat and they will do that on our behalf. Will that be you, Rihanna? Thank you very much, ma'am. Please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. We have the following councillors in attendance. Councillor May, Councillor Ben van Wyk, Councillor Spix, Alderlady Hartnett, Alderman Boysen, Councillor Rousseau, Councillor Lose, Councillor Kampe, Councillor Mndoniso, Councillor Harris, Councillor Makila, Councillor Anne Binvogel, Councillor Stroewel, Alderlady Kritzinger, Councillor Fraai, Alderman van der Hoeven, Alderlady Tehisi, Alderman Gericke, Councillor Busak, Councillor Mangaliso, Councillor Hiren Reiters, Councillor Trekolo, Alderlady Wilmerans, Councillor Matiwane, Councillor Mlandezi, Speaker, Councillor Meyer, Alderlady Reiter, Councillor Lambertine, Councillor Wilskut. Those are all the councillors present in the chambers and by.
Thank you very much. That sounds like Councillor Matiwane. can you please unmute yourself? Colleagues, if you don't mind, I'm going to take off my mask. I personally find it difficult at times to hear exactly what people say. So I also read their lips in a way, and I think it will assist somebody that to assist in the listening when I speak to this council. Is that fine? Thank you. We are now moving to councillors with leave. I've received Councillor Alderman De Vries application for leave, attending a course for directorship, and we wish him well with the attendance of his course. I've also received application for leave of absence from Councillor Dungubele due to health reasons, and I've also received an application for leave of absence from Councillor Danny Simon, also due to medical reasons. May I ask from the whips, the chief whips, any application for leave of absence, an urgent application which that councillor could not forward or provide me with timeously? You know, life happens. Children get sick and other issues. So, any other urgent application for leave of absence that we as council must obtain?
From the ANC side, Speaker, nothing.
Thank you so much, Alderman.
Nothing from the DA, Speaker, but I will let you know in the course of the meeting if anything comes up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Whips, please. I know that Councillor Hartley phoned me early this morning. She requests to be excused from a meeting for more or less 12 o'clock due to other personal matters. So can we just note that she will also have a short break in attending this meeting. Mr. Executive Mayor, my apologies, I didn't recognize you earlier, but good morning, Tate. Thank you, colleagues. We will now move to the inauguration of our two new councillors. And I'm aware of the fact that Councillors Reuters, Councillor Hiram Reuters, I saw you on the screen, and that we will be performing your inauguration virtually. But we are very fortunate and honoured by the attendance of Councillor Franz Dumiso. Welcome to both councillors, and I will now request my good advocate, Sinakaya, to proceed with the inauguration of these councillors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. We have the item in front of us. It's the inauguration of the two new councillors who are joining the Garden Route District Municipality. The recommendations, Speaker, are found on page 170. I will read the recommendations for the record. The first recommendation, 511, is that cognizance be taken of the notices from IEC dated 15th January 2021. The second recommendation, 512, is that Councillors Francis Nokolo Dumiso and Irene David Reuters be inaugurated as councillors of Garden Route District Council with effect from 15th January 2021. And the third recommendation, 513, is that Councillors Francis Nokolo Dumiso and Councillor Irene David Reuters be requested to take the oath of office as required in terms of the Municipal Structures Act 1998. Speaker, if there are no objections or comments on the recommendations, I would then ask that we have a proposer and a seconder before we can call forward to the councils. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Advocate. I get the proposal, the seconder for the inauguration of the two councils, whether the recommendations as being presented.
I propose, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Alderman Executive Mayor.
Speaker, Councillor Spies here.
Thank
Second.
you.
Thank you, Speaker. I will now call Councillor Francis Notolo Dumiso to come forward and take. Thank you so much, Council. Now, after me, I, Notolo Dumiso, hereby swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and will obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution and all other laws of the Republic. Will you lift your right hand and say, I solemnly promise to perform my functions as a member of the Garden Road District Municipality to the best of my ability. So,
Very welcome, Councillor Nokolo Damiso. Please, we welcome you in our midst. We are very proud of the productive district municipality and we wish you well. You being a councillor here and we're looking forward to your contributions to make the lives of our people even better. Most welcome, and I feel so gelukkig. I feel very happy because I know that you are also from Mosselbaai. Yeah, and we know exactly what to expect from people from Mosselbaai. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Speaker. We will now call on Mr. Hiring Bidretes to take the oath of office. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you so much. Will you please repeat after me? I, Hiring David Reiters,
I, Hiram David Reiters,
hereby swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa
swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa
and will obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution
and will obey and respect the Constitution
and all other laws of the Republic.
and all other laws of the Republic.
And I solemnly promise
And I solemnly promise
to perform my functions
to fulfill my functions
as a member of the Garden Road District Municipality
as a member of the Garden Route District Municipality
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Will you please lift your right hand and say, so help me God?
So help me God.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Councillor Hiram Reiters, most welcome to the Garden Route District Municipality. We know that people from Kanaland can't. So we're looking forward to your productive and constructive engagements and your participation in our municipality. Most welcome. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. We're now moving to the noting of the provisions of Schedule 1, the Code of Conduct for Councillors.
Speaker, Speaker, there's a hand. There are hands from the ANC side.
Thank you, Alderman. My apologies. Can I thank you, Alderman, for the work for bringing me to the attention that you would like to participate or to speak. From where I sit, yeah, no, I can see the hands now. Thank you. I'll try to look at the hands as well. I can see, I can't read the names from here, it's too far. But yeah, I can see 3 hands on the screen as we said. I request Rihanna, please to assist me in this regard and just to say to me which councillor would like to participate. Alderman van der Hoeven, Councillor Spies, Councillor Java, Councillor Mangaliso. In that order, thank you. Alderman van der Hoeven, please proceed.
Speaker, I'm not going to speak on this item. I just alerted you that there are other ANC members who want to speak on this item.
Thank you, Alderman. Councillor Lechaba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I would like this morning to congratulate the 2 councillors that has joined us, Councillor Nokolo Dumis and Councillor Reiters. And we will particular in terms of empowerment of women's power, congratulate the ANC for choosing a woman and empower women. So it is a good step because now we are seeing that the council, the balance of women is growing, and that is amounting to gender mainstreaming. So we congratulate the councillors, and Councillor Nodimiso is not foreign to council. She was a councillor before in Mossel Bay, and she's going to add value into this council. I thank you, Speaker. Congratulations, Comrade Nokolo, and welcome. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Java. Councillor Spies.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Councillor Ndemiso, Councillor Reiters, very welcome to this council. We appreciate the contribution that you're going to make to Garden Route District Municipality. I believe I can speak for everybody, including the ANC caucus, Councillor Gierike, and your colleague from Ikosa, that we are very proud of the deliberations that we have here in Garden Route and the type of work we do with the Garden Route Council. And I hope that your first meeting in the Garden Route Council will live up to the expectations that we set for ourselves as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for your contribution that you're going to make in the future. We appreciate all of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Spies. Councillor Mangaliso.
Speaker, my hand was raised prior to the prayer session or the moment of silence, so I did not want to speak on this particular item. But in your submission, you covered the area that I would have wanted to mention relating to the Honorable Jackson Mthembu. So because you have raised that issue, I did not request an opportunity to speak. So that is an old hand. You have covered the issue. We just wanted to make sure that we honor him by providing a moment of silence and honoring the formidable contribution that he has made as a minister, as a excellent communicator, and of course, a person that has loved the South African people tremendously. So I am actually covered. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Councillor Mangaliso. What I wanted to do was to deviate from this morning, but I thought it's unfair towards the councillors, the chief person, to do that. to give every councillor or chief whip and mayor an opportunity to say a word or two in memory of a great leader that we've lost. I wanted to do that and I thought it would be unfair, but please, thank you so much, Councillor Mangaliso, for your words. We all share it as a nation and as this council as well. Alderman Gericke, please proceed.
Yeah, Speaker, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Just allow me to convey condolences to the African National Congress and its alliance partners on the passing of a great cadre, Comrade Minister Jackson Mthembu. And then a hearty welcome to the two colleagues. Just a word of encouragement. Our areas, our region, our country are facing extreme challenges. And those challenges, the platform here, the platform of council is one of the platforms where we can fight for our people and for our communities. May you use this platform to stand in the gap for those that cannot speak for themselves. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Yeah, I think those of us that watched the inauguration of President Biden and our new, I call it Al, Councillor Chaba and the other lady for councillors, the very first vice president that's a lady. I really think it was something extraordinary to watch. And I had goosebumps. I almost was, I wasn't, yes. One, when Lady Gaga sang their anthem, I think that was very special. But the most special of the whole event was the poet, that beautiful young lady that shared with us, let's see the light. Let's be brave enough to be it. And to all our new councillors, I wish you also braveness to be the light. But thank you. Did I miss someone? Can I proceed? Thank you. We are then on item 4 of our agenda. That is noting of the provisions of Schedule 1 of the Code of Conduct for Councillors of the Local Government Fiscal Systems Act 2000. I again plead with councillors. Relook and study that Code of Conduct. And I honestly would like to raise my concern. And it's a serious concern. If you look at what happened in America with what President Trump said just before the Capitol was stormed in an uncivilized manner, undemocratic manner. Let's be very careful. Let's be very careful what we say on WhatsApps, what we share on WhatsApps to the broader public. You, I'm not saying you, people are on the brink with a millimeter less on the transgression of the code, of what they say and do also on social platforms. And I will deal with it, Speaker. I will deal with it. You transgress the Code of Conduct, be sure that I will act. It's a very friendly warning. It's a reminder to all of us, me included. Be very aware of what you post, to the detriment of a person, an institution, our nation, our democracy. Do not try to create havoc. So that is the Code of Conduct. Please take note of that. Then point 5 is the disclosure of interest by councillors and officials. Any councillor that would like to recuse herself or himself due to a matter that would be discussed, considered by council, that has a pecuniary interest? No councillor? Any official? None? Thank you. Then we move to the communications. And please, colleagues, we are aware of the fact that the rules that we've adopted is not a bylaw of this municipality yet. And I said, or we agreed, that we'll make it a policy that we'll adhere to, that we'll have it as a trial. We take it on APRO for a couple of meetings or so. And then as we go along in applying those rules, if you'd like to change it, let's do it. It's a living document. And I would like you to participate in the creation of the rules that will apply when in council sittings and all its committees as well. Please feel free. May I ask, Advocate or NM, to you, that any councillors that would like to submit any proposal on the changes of the rules as policy as we currently have to forward to our advocate. Is that fine with you? Thank you, Daddy. Can we do that? Thank you. One of the changes, our Councillor Harris, please proceed.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I will speak when you are done.
Say again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, thanks. Now I will speak when you are done.
That would be more or less at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Say again.
No, it can't take so long.
No, it was just an election. Thank you. One of the changes I would like to make is that I would like to give our executive mayor really the first opportunity, Alderman Boyson, to give you the opportunity to address our council. I know that we appreciate what you do for us. Please proceed, Alderman Boyson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and all protocols observed. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to acknowledge the blessing on behalf of all of us on this platform, blessing that we have made it into 2021. I know that we had a very, very difficult 2020, and hopefully, Mr. Speaker, and everybody on this platform, all the garden rooters, that it is in our hands to make this indeed a better year. We know what is required, and I'm mentioning this, Mr. Speaker, although that you've alluded to it, COVID-19 has really hit us very hard. Hard in the sense that we've lost loved ones, we've lost prominent South Africans, leaders of the country, we've lost staff members, and we're still sitting with a lot of active cases, Mr. Speaker, and hopefully, as I'm praying here, that we would really survive this in terms of us really, really changing our behavior. And then, Mr. Speaker, also, we know that this is the first meeting of this new year, and we know also, Mr. Speaker, that we're sitting with a lot of challenges, and we are well known for not backing down on challenges. And some of the challenges, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that there are a lot of projects which we need to roll out this year. One of those projects, Mr. Speaker, is the regional landfill site. We know what happened with that, and it is something that we really need to finalize, because it is another pandemic waiting if we're going to fail on it. But the good news, Mr. Speaker, is that once again, because of all the efforts which we have put into this project, people have taken note. The European Union has made contact with us in terms of trying to partner with us in this regard. We also know that the University of KwaZulu-Natal, University of Free State, is just an indication, Mr. Speaker, that people know that we're really trying the best we can. And with all of this on our table, Mr. Speaker, and with all the participation of council and the officials, we will make this work. Also, Mr. Speaker, He's been coming a long way. The fact that we've initiated a regional food bank, although there are still a lot of skepticism around it, Mr. Speaker. But once again, we're not going to sit back and fold our arms. We as the Garden Route District Municipality, we have started the initiative, and I will make time very soon to go and have a look at the operations at the food bank. We've dealt with this on the DCF, but we will take it back again to DCF now that it's operational, so that all the mayors and all the municipal managers and all relevant officials can experience this firsthand. And even with this, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say thank you to the partners. I'd like to say thank you to those who've donated up to now and those who would still donate. We really appreciate this because it makes a difference in people's lives. Because things are different, Mr. Speaker, we now also need to do things differently, in the sense that we now need to put livelihoods and people's dignities first, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, last but not least, I want to welcome the two councillors, Councillor Dumiso and then Councillor Reuters. As the other speakers indicated, that it is indeed a learning college that we've established here in terms of how we do things politically and how we do things administratively. And I'm sure that they will enjoy it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other things I'm not going to allude to now in my speech, but I will deal with it as we're going to go through the items. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alderman Burton. Speaker of Prayer, Elder Lady Kitzinger, and Elder Lady Kitzinger, Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've listened to what the mayor said, and I would really feel that under his leadership, a lot of very positive things have happened in this district, in our district municipality, together with this MN, with your competent staff. I have to thank you for taking the leadership and taking us to the next level when it comes to projects, and not backing down when we need it so much, and when the people out there need our assistance so much. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The leadership is basically taken up to these levels as far as this municipality is concerned, and also to Mr. Strato Ellen, to you and your staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elder Lady Kitzinger, Councillor Harris.
Ja, baie dankie, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, weer eens is ek terugdink na verlede jaar. By ons laaste vergadering ons almal geluk toegewens en sterkte en voorspoed. Daar het 1 en 2 ons ontval, maar ons wil net vir die Hemelse Vader weer eens dankie sê dat hy ons veilig uitgespare deur die feesseisoen en dat ons vandag veilig kan wees. Mr. Speaker, I just want to request, I really wanted to put it under item 6, that please can I get a hard copy of the Code of Conduct through the course of the day, because I got it only electronic version. Then just 2 points for clarity, Mr. Speaker. The 1 point is, and I just need clarity because I'm going to ask an uninformed question. I note in the minutes that when the mayor gave his mayoral address and when the opposition or chief whips reply on the speech or my comments, that it is not captured or minuted in our minutes. So I don't know what is the reason. I know that it is recorded, but one would expect that sometimes you will record in the minutes a statement made by or the reply by the opposition. So I just need clarity on that one. And then the last one is also an uninformed question. And I also need clarity on that one, is in terms of COVID-19. Now, I understand there is something that the promise to the workforce. I just want clarity. I don't say it is a fact, but I just need clarity. Were there any promises made to our staff or those staff that work at the emergency services that they will get COVID money, so to speak? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Rihanna. Alderman van der Werven, in that order, and Alderman Gericke, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Speaker. First of all, Speaker, I also want to welcome Councillor Reuters and Councillor Ndumiso. Councillor Ndumiso, I don't know Councillor Reuters so well, but Councillor Ndumiso is a young lion, and I am sure she's going to fill Councillor Patkum Patisa's shoes. Secondly, Speaker, I want to refer to the landfill site. We have raised this issue previously. I just want to make sure this is a new opportunity for us as a district, and please let us be guided by the fourth industrial revolution, and that we make sure that we benefit from renewable energy in that regard. There's huge opportunities there, and we must not miss this one. Then the regional food bank, we welcome that. We are fully behind that. We just want to make sure 100% that there's proper communication in order for the most vulnerable to benefit from that. Those are the issues that I want to raise, Speaker, and I raise my case.
Thank you, Alderman van der Werven.
Hello, Speaker. Do you acknowledge me?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, allow me to again convey condolences, heartfelt condolences to families and friends, colleagues that lost loved ones during this COVID pandemic. I know here in George by us, people are really dying on a daily basis, and it has becoming, you can almost say, a huge embarrassment to many families and children and communities, the way people are dying. So we express the hope that our citizens will abide by the rules and the regulations of COVID, wear the mask, sanitize, handle the 1.5 meter distance. It is working, it is flattening the curve, and that we should close our ears for the critics, the Facebook and the social media critics that criticize all these efforts from national government and also from provincial governments. Speaker, yes, we have huge challenges, massive challenges, but these challenges are perpetuating as the need arises. And we have to be proactive when it comes to addressing the challenges. We should not be selective in addressing the challenges, but take off our kid gloves and move in before our communities crumble entirely, because this is where we're at the moment. Then just lastly, on the issue of the food bank or the pantry, I hear now this morning it's a food bank, we've approved a pantry. I just want to make this point, and I want to make it very clear. This entire council has been unanimously in our decision to support the pantry, the food pantry. And we caution that we should not use this food pantry or the food bank as a political tool to buy some votes or face from people that are uninformed. This was a unanimous decision by this council. I have noted recently that the champion or the founder of the food bank, he has posted with a DA councillor on the food bank and him handing over some food parcels to that councillor. And then after I complained, he pulled in an ICOSA councillor. Now, in terms of legislation, councillors, this is not our mandate to dish out food and hand out food. This is far from that. Leave that to the civic organizations. We have given money for the establishment of the food bank and the food pantry. Let them go on. Let them perform their civil duties, in order to service that food bank or food pantry. And let us as politicians stay away from that food pantry. Let us not play politics with the lives of people that are hungry, that are needy, and that are vulnerable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. I don't see any other hand. Executive Mayor, or raise your hand, please. Raise your hand, please.
I'm trying, but the system doesn't give me to raise the hand. It's
Okay.
Councillor Matiwane at the side.
Thank you, Councillor Matiwane.
I want to ask, are we still in the mayor's report? Because there was a time that the network have lost me. Now I'm back in a meeting.
Thank you. We get a nod here from the Executive Mayor and the Municipal Manager. Executive Mayor or Municipal Manager, would you like to respond?
Mr. Speaker, I will respond to Alderman Gericke. Mr. Speaker, I agree we should not politicize this food pantry. And it's precisely why we have given this to the private sector to run. We've just laid the foundation and for this initiative to be kicked off. And the other B municipalities will follow suit as soon as possible. And indeed, we should not politicize this because the need is not a political issue. It's a humanitarian issue, Mr. Speaker. I agree.
Thank you, Alderman.
Speaker?
Councillor Matiwane,
Can I ask a question?
you've already done it. You've asked a question.
Okay, thanks. Speaker, I want to know from the mayor's report. The mayor's report, page 13, at the paragraph 3, paragraph 4. He said the Garden Route will issue more than 1,000 COVID kits. That will go to informal businesses. My question is how it will be distributed, at how many numbers per town, and that's a question that I want to know. Because when these are implemented, I must be able to be in a position to say that it's so many that's supposed to come to NISMA for the informal businesses. Thank you very much.
Councillor Matiwane, we'll discuss those issues. It's part of the agenda of that item. We are now responding to the Executive Mayor's communication. We are not going to consider in detail items that will still be in our agenda. I ask for your patience for that. Anybody else would like to respond? Executive Mayor, you've done your part. Councillor Harris would like to have a response to his concern that he raised. Thank you, Municipal Manager.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker, and good morning. I think there was one on the Code of Conduct for Councillors. I don't know if Trix, you can confirm all councillors are supplied with the box that contains all the legislation that is applicable, and the Code of Conduct for Councillors is contained as a schedule in the Municipal Systems Act. But I've spoken to Advocate Mark again. If Councillor Harris would like us to print himself a copy, we can do that. But it is part of the Municipal Systems Act as one of the schedules. On the COVID-19 promise, we have not made any promises to this council to anyone about any allowance for any viral or pandemic that is occurred. So Garden Route is not needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Municipal Manager. Diana. Thank you, Councillor Spies.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The Mayor responded to Councillor Gericke's concerns, so I'm happy with that. I'd just like to make sure that councillors don't misunderstand what they should and what they shouldn't do. I have already invited 2 creches in my area to please register on the database for the food bank. So councillors must please make sure that the soup kitchens and the people that can assist the food bank in operating better, please register on their databases so that they can get deliveries from the food bank or be allowed to pick up assistance and so on. But I agree with the Mayor and Councillor Gericke. That is a dark road we go down if we try to politicize this structure and this instrument. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Spies. Mr. Mayor, when you respond, can I please also ask you to just share with us again the deadline for the applications that civic organizations can apply for certain funds? I think the deadline, I've got it here, I can try to find it, but I think we just, we can perhaps just mention that again. Thank you. May we proceed? Alderman, are you fine? Thank you. From my side, I again would like to wish everybody a very healthy, happy, prosperous, peaceful 2021. I wish and I know that we are never alone. We are never alone. And that you will really treasure and cherish your loved ones, your friends, your family, and acknowledge to those people that really meant something, mean something for you, your family, your friends, our colleague councillors, our special staff. Let's give the flowers while we live. I know it's our culture that we give beautiful bouquets of flowers to people that has passed on. I don't have any problem with that. It's to the family to really to soothe them. But let's give those flowers to each and every one of us. That means something to us, to this institution, or to you, or to whoever. Let's do it while we live as well. But I'm wishing you well. And from my side, we've got 3 Pisces birthdays this month. And my son is also a Pisces. He's also a fish. You get 2 types of fishes. One that swims upstream and the other one that swims downstream. That's the 2 types of fishes that you get in the Pisces. Now, I don't know if your councillor Reuters will be one that swims upstream. But yeah, first of all, to Councillor Lambergine, who will celebrate his birthday on the 13th of February. Councillor Chokolo, that will be celebrating his birthday on the 16th of February. And our new councillor, Hiram Reuters, I picked it up in the report, that you will be having your birthday on the 28th of February. So, happy birthday on these days, and God bless. That's all from my side. Thank you, colleagues. Alderman Gericke, please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, no, I just wanted to say that this council, under the leadership of Alderman Memory Boyson, has done a sterling job to approve the food pantry. We must praise this initiative. The politicians have now made the decision. The politicians must now stand away and allow the administration to deal with the food pantry and to deal with the needy communities. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Alderman. Can I now ask our very, I must say it, I always brag wherever I go, even with my old colleagues in JB Marks in Potchefstroom. They said, please come back. I said, yes, I'll come back, but can I bring along my municipal manager, Molly Stratu, to assist you at Potchefstroom as well? I said, no, we don't know. But and then,
thank you, Speaker.
Before you take the floor, let me, when you do that, know that we really appreciate what you do for this municipality, for our people, for your staff, for our staff. You are a caring and a competent municipal manager, and we appreciate you. Please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. That's comforting to hear, especially when you start your last year in your contract.
Which contract is that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning still.
Mr. MM, you may not make political statements, please. Thank you, Speaker.
I will not. Thank you, Speaker. Good morning to you, Speaker, Executive Mayor, Deputy Executive Mayor, Mayoral Committee members, and all councillors. Compliments of the new year to all of us, including my colleagues. I hope 2021 brings us different and happy memories moving forward. Let me also, Speaker, congratulate the two councillors that have joined us. You are most welcome, councillors, and if you need any assistance or support, we're standing ready to provide that to you. Speaker, I've just got a few issues, probably on a lighter note. Speaker, I have noticed, I don't know if Councillor Alderman Piet van der Hoeven has noticed, that this being a short year and election year, there are things happening in the chamber. And if Councillor van der Hoeven, you are not careful, things may turn out very badly. All ANC councillors have crossed the floor and are sitting on the benches.
Wimpit, oppas.
That's on a lighter note, councillors. But councillor, let me start first with the issue that probably sometimes disturb our administration. You might have noted that we circulated a late item. As you know, that's not how we want to do things, but we were delayed for a long time by our colleagues from the HDA, which is your Housing Development Agency. They only sent us the documents late yesterday. But because this item has been outstanding for a long time, we asked the indulgence of the Speaker to please submit a later addendum. Even on top of that, Speaker, they still sent the implementation protocol this morning, which was also very late. But we felt that we should still submit it and request the indulgence of all councillors. It's not our own doing, but we working with other people that we have no control over. Please forgive us for that. Though that item will be serving, and we will explain everything on it, including the changes in the current resolutions that are there. Speaker, this is our first council for the year, and it's a very short year, like I said, it's an election year, and there is a lot of stuff that we want to conclude before this term concludes, because this is the year of the last year of the term of council, and therefore many things that this council had sought out to achieve when it was inaugurated, we need to take stock and see how far we've gone and see how we can maybe ensure that we accelerate where we have not been able to. To this end, Speaker, we will be convening the last council strategic planning session next month. As administration, we've already concluded our technical strategic planning session this week. We are now preparing for the council strategic planning session, where we will report what we've done in the previous year and the council decides on the objectives for this year. Also, Speaker, we are engaging in the last review of this term's IDP. So councillors will have to look seriously in terms of our IDP, what we have done in the last 4 years, including this one. And we also will be dealing with the last budget for this term. And therefore, those matters will be during the process of planning that we are in. There are various projects that have been in the planning phase that are going to really take shape. As the mayor has said, the regional waste facility will be constructed this year. Soon you'll be seeing, councillors, the information sheet for the raising of capital for the construction of the site in terms of the December resolutions. We will then come back to council to obtain the necessary resolutions to take those loans, and that will be part of new budget. We envisage that the first sale will be concluded before the end of the year, so that we could start. We take note, Councillor Rofen, on your insistence on us using the modern technology to ensure that we reduce and reuse the waste and transform it to probably renewable energy. And I think that's part of the planning processes that we are in. In terms of the food bank, I am quite happy, councillors, that we all understand our roles, but I think it will be remiss of us if we do not invite individual councillors to at least view the facility, to know where it is, just to know the food bank is situated at area A, it looks like this, and so that when people ask in terms of your oversight activities, at least you know what is going on there, where it is, without really interfering, as the councillors have said. Councillors, COVID-19 is ravaging, as everybody has indicated. There will be a report submitted, but I think we are happy to report that in terms of the institution, we only now have 2 active cases. 78 people have recovered. Unfortunately, we have lost 6 colleagues, 2 of them during December holidays. And I'm sure all councillors are aware we did have a memorial service, and we have issued statements in our media platforms about the other colleague. May their souls rest in peace. We are on alert level 3, and we are using the alert level 3 risk adjusted strategy to ensure that the numbers of employees that are coming to work are limited to 50%. However, councillors, I must say we are experiencing challenges in enforcing this, because those people that are coming to work are complaining that the other colleagues that are claiming to be working from home or are having comorbidities are actually having a nice holiday and are seen moving up and down in the city and in the townships. And that makes our life very difficult. And it's unfair for other people to face COVID and come to work, and the rest of the people are just gallivanting on the streets. Management is seized with this. We are managing it. And we have said in areas where we can properly self-distance and isolate in offices that are properly ventilated, used by one person, those people must come to work, and many of those have been coming to work. We have also said those people that are working outside, where it is an open space, like in the roads, we must make sure that our projects don't fail, so that we don't have complaints of people that are having a nice holiday doing their private work on the pretext of COVID, and other people must come to work and face COVID every day. We are implementing the necessary protocols, and I think in the manner in which we have managed it, we are very encouraged. We have circulated the latest report to all councillors for your own reading. As I said, Councillor Harris, we have not made any pecuniary promise to anyone as a compensation for having availed your services during COVID. I think, Speaker, some of the issues will be raised during the items when they are presented. That concludes my communication. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Municipal Manager. Rihanna. Councillors, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Speaker. First of all, I'd like to apologize for sitting outside. My kids are homeschooling and I've been banished from inside. But on your request, with the liberty of with the mayor, I'd like to thank and congratulate the MM and his staff for starting this year on a bang. This agenda is packed full of items that show how impactful the work this council does is. From the request to adjust the SDBIB to the foundational change in the gender mainstreaming item, our fantastic response to the COVID-19 crisis. I know it's not over. We're going to have to do a lot more hard work in that regard. The investment prospectus, I appreciate Councillor van der Hoeven's point that the landfill site is an opportunity, and we all agree with him. And I know that the ANC caucus and Councillor Gericke and the ICOSA delegation will work hard to make this a success. And then the highlight for me is the housing item that you've added to the addendum today. Your staff, thank you very much for the work. You know, in local councils, people have warm-up meetings at this time of the year. But I'd just like to give you, like the speaker said, I'd like to give you your flowers now before your contract is finished. Thank you very much for the work that you do for this council. Thank you for the integrity you do it with, and thank you for the professionalism that the staff deliver these matters with. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Spies. Yeah, it's I refuse to call it the new normal. It's an abnormal life and circumstance that we live currently. Simon, you would like to respond?
Speaker, I think it would be remiss of me. I know there is an item that talks to the, what do you call this? Service exits and appointments and all that. I think it will be remiss of me if I don't inform councillors. In the human settlements item, it is not coming out very clear, but as part of the discussions we've been having with the provincial government, we asked them, if you recall, councillors, when you amended the org structure last year, to say if we are going to take this function, you must fund it. We asked them to fund a number of positions to ensure that we are ready for the delivery of this item. And I'm happy to report that we have started with the funding. We'll be getting 2 officials. You recall that we amended our recruitment and selection policy last year to allow for the municipal manager to appoint officials flowing from agreements that are signed through the intergovernmental relations. So the 2 officials that were originally placed in Knysna and in Oudtshoorn by the Department of Human Settlements will now be housed at the Garden Road district as our own employees for a period of 3 years, that they will be paid by the Department of Human Settlements. The money will be paid to us. We will pay them as part of our workers. So that's one of the big start that we're doing. They are starting on the 1st of February. But secondly, councillors, I'm very excited. If I repeat this, it's fine. That towards the end of last year, and in fulfillment of a long desire by many of us to see some of our colleagues moving upwards within the organization, we appointed 2 very able ladies in the organization in new positions. The one is the IDP district manager, Ms. Mercy James. She is now the permanent district IDP manager. You will recall that when I arrived here, she was the PA of the then CFO. She moved to the IDP as an officer, and today she is the district IDP manager. You will know that we asked Rihanna to act for a long time in the position that she is in, and I think councillors, all of you will agree with us that she's been doing a sterling job. And towards the end of last year, she was also appointed. You will see that in the report. The name is there. And we wish to congratulate them and everybody else that I have not specifically mentioned, but I felt those I should mention specifically. Thank you, Speaker.
Can we give the municipal manager a hand? And to all those new appointees. We are truly blessed with municipal manager, Jacob Meyer, with very, very talented people. They do also more than work. I mean, they sing beautifully, they play beautifully. And Rihanna, I'm so glad that you really also got appointed. And congratulations from my side. You are truly, you know, I always say to Zolisa as well, you are simply the best. You are also simply the best with your team. Thank you so much. Can we then move to the approval of the minutes of council meeting? It's the minutes of the council meeting dated 10 December 2020, and it appears on page 8 to 30. Any input or comment on the correctness of the minutes? If you can find one correction, you've beaten me. Then I would like to congratulate you. But if there are no corrections and or comments on the correctness, let me from the chair side thank you and congratulate everyone within the Secretariat that played their part in doing these minutes for our about other lady. I really think, as an old city secretary, I love those type of things. It's part of my passion. And yeah, Mr. MM, it's funny, this year is a term, is a year of many last terms. Last term cycle budget, last term IDP cycle, last term for Barney Groenewald. So it's a lot of last ones. Let's make the best of it. Can I get a proposal and a seconder for the minutes, please? Thank you, Councillor Harris. Proposed by Councillor Harris, seconded.
Second, thank you.
Seconded by Elder Lady Councillor. Thank you. Can we move? Can we now, item 10, minutes of the mayoral committee and section 9 committee is page 31 to 59. You received the mayoral committee meeting dated. Thank you so much, Executive Mayor and your members of your mayoral committee for a sterling job that you do on behalf of the Garden, for the Garden District Municipality. We appreciate it a lot. Can we take note of it? It's page 31 to 59. Take note of
Yes,
it.
please, Speaker. Councillors, please.
Thank you, Councillors. Please, second. Take note. Thank you, Elder Rachel Singer. The next item on our minutes on our agenda is that we must deal with is item 11 is none. Item 12, standing items 12.1. Appointments, service exits, and labor relations information for December 2020. You find it on pages 60 to 68. Any comment, discussion? Is that Elder Lady Casey? It is so good to see you again, Elder Lady. You're looking good in pink. it suits you much better than, no, I don't want to mention the other colors, but pink suits you well. I'm struggling to hear you. Can we try to move the mic a bit closer? Thank you. Thank you, Elder Lady.
Struggle to hear, Speaker.
Can you hear me now?
So, if I may, Elder Lady, move it close to your mouth. I also don't like things that close to my mouth. I normally eat it, and I don't like to see something that I cannot eat in front of my mouth.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Speaker, under appointment, the next one. The following is
Speaker, we are unable to hear.
No, thank you, Speaker, through you. You're correct, Councillor. As I said, There's a name that has been omitted in the report of Mercy James. I explained. Those are the two employees that are coming.
Thank you, Other Lady. Thank you, Emil. Any further input or comment? Other Lady Kirchner?
Yes, Speaker, thank you very much. It's just, I would like to congratulate Diana and the other official that has been appointed in positions. It's also good to see that the majority of our staff members actually retire at this institution, which is good. I'm sorry about who that was today. But then also the stats, as far as the stats is concerned, I would like to make a plea to Mr. Emin regarding employing people living with disabilities. We should really go out of our way and ask the departments to be more sensitive as far as that's concerned, because I think we lack a lot of we've only got a few people living with disabilities that we report. So as far as that's concerned, we should really make a certain effort to sort of get that right. Then disciplinary actions, some of the cases you would have noticed that some of them go back as far as 2018 when it comes to cases relating to medical issues and incapacitation and whatever. Those normally take a long time to do. I've just got a problem at this stage that I don't, Mr. Emim, I don't want to do you to Mr. Speaker, is that we should be really adamant that we don't allow departments or even the unions to sort of hamper the processes as far as disciplinary hearings are concerned, and they shouldn't. I mean, you get to the conclusion that people will not pitch up for a hearing because friends are covering for friends and that type of thing. I'm not saying this is the case, but we should not give them the opportunity to sort of do things like that. And it's also not a good thing to have a disciplinary hearing hanging over your head for an uncertain time. So please, I would like to make a plea to you to make sure that the departments are active when it comes to this, so that we can get this out of the way and that we can finalize disciplinary hearings. So I want to propose that we accept this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Elder Lady Kirchner. Before I request any person to second that proposal, any further comment, input that you'd like to make? Diana? Alderman van der Hoeven and Alderman Gericke, please proceed. Alderman van der Hoeven.
Speaker, I dropped my hand again. I just wanted someone to summarize what Councillor Alderman Elder Lady Tubeka Taisi was saying, because the sound was not clear on the side. But I think I have picked up, but perhaps just for the record.
Thank you. Just confirm.
Yes, Speaker, we confirmed Councillor Tish was asking that the report refers to a plural of employees, but there's only one. And we mentioned that it's a mistake, there's two, including Mercy James, who's the IDP manager.
Thank you. Thank you. Alderman Gericke, please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. Allow me also to congratulate the two ladies, Mercy James and Rihanna Matthews, on their promotion. I think it's very well deserved, and we wish them well and many blessings in their endeavor and their new career path. I just want on page 62, Mr. Speaker, to the MM, I just want to make sure from the municipal manager, the employment equity stats at the bottom of the page, are we fine with those stats in terms of moving forward, in terms of equity versus population size, and so on and so on? Race versus population size and so on, if I put it correctly. Are we satisfied? I'll tell you why I'm asking you, is the experience has taught us throughout the years that this administration is fine, we think we're doing the right thing, we put people in positions, they go through the processes and so on. And then suddenly when you have a new administration, they come in, they take people out of positions. We've seen it all over. and they demote and humiliate people and so on. I just want to make sure whether we are on the right path, right track, in order to avoid humiliating individuals and embarrassing people. Many instances, these people are the only breadwinners of their families. Dis nie 'n vasvraagie, Mr. MM. This is just a matter for clarity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emil. Would you like to respond?
Speaker. Thank you, Councillor Gerike. I think firstly, Councillor Gerike, we agree with Councillor Kritzinger that we need to do better for the people with disability in terms of how we ensure that. So in that sense, I'm not happy with that statistic of people with disabilities. In terms of the rest of the statistics, Councillor Gerike, if you take when I arrived and now, I would say we have done fairly well in terms of ensuring that there is equitable representation of the garden route demographics. But I think there is always room for improvement, not necessarily in terms of numbers alone, but in terms of seniority and management positions in the organization. In that sense, I would say we still have a long way to go. We need to affirm a lot of women in management positions. If you look at roads as an example, we have a very, very long way to go in ensuring that we have people in senior management positions there. That is, I mean, women, also Africans and so on. But I think we can say to ourselves, in terms of the period under review, we have done substantially well, but we are not content. We believe that we can do even better. The employees in the garden route, except for myself and other people that are on specific contracts, are all permanent in their positions. So it will take a very brave and uncaring person to just come in and show people left, right, and center without any good cause. So senior managers below me are all permanent. Every other manager is permanent. Only people that are linked to specific projects are on contract basis on the long term. Like we mentioned, the human settlements people that are coming, we are only hiring them for 3 years because the funding for now is for 3 years from the department. So in that sense, there is job security. And I think council, even the incoming one, will be required to also play its oversight to ensure that a manager that comes in to head this organization doesn't just come in and send people all over the show. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Emil. And I fully agree. Since I also became councillor, this institution is real moving forward on those issues. Almost want to say Alita continue, but I would like to do that. Thank you. Can I get a seconder then for other lady councillor's proposal that we adopt this?
Speaker, can I just say to the municipal manager, thank you, Mr. MM, and respect for your performance, Mr. MM. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I take that as a seconder. Councillor Lawson.
No, I propose you get somebody else to second Councillor Kitchen's proposal. I will not second. Thank you.
Speaker.
This is 2021. This is a new year. May you all have a happy new year. Thank you. We're moving to section B. Councillor Chokolo.
No, Speaker, I was going to second the item that you just stepped off now.
Okay, we will make the second, third, family proposals. Thank you, Councillor. Enjoy. Thank you. We then move to section B. That's the section 52 report. Responsibilities of the executive mayor. Van die uitvoerende burgemeester. But we all know that there's a huge difference between a mayor and executive mayor. Executive mayor carries a load, that eh? Alderman Boyson, and you're doing what you always say, you punch high above your weight. And, you know, I'm not saying anything badly about you, but the size of the dog doesn't matter. It's the fight in the dog that matters. So you are punching far above your weight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, without any further ado and delaying time, I would hereby like to table the Section 52 report in terms of the MFMA so that the council can scrutinize it and take note of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. What? Yeah, no. Councillor Chikolo.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. Good afternoon, Speaker, and all councillors. Speaker, after my whip spoke about the performance and congratulating our MM, I won't say a lot about that. I think he's said it all. I also just want to comment, Speaker, on looking at the KPI report. That I'm very pleased to see that the MM and his managers are managing to get to a extremely well met KPIs. I see it's only blue. We used to have this green and yellows whereby these KPIs are not met in some of these councils. So I'm very happy to see this Speaker. I just wanted to congratulate the MM as the week congratulated. My only concern was looking at the but when I looked at the corrective measures and the remedials, then I was happy, and also looking at it was covered. That's just my comment, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chikola. Councillor Harris. Councillor Harris and Alderman Gericke, in that order. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to ask two questions for clarity. Because I'm not an expert on finance. On page 99, reporting month, 31 December, at the bottom is labor disputes. I see the amount that is budgeted for labor disputes is 2.6 million, if I understand the figure correct. Just need clarity on this one. Do we have to budget such a huge amount for labor disputes? Or how does it work? I don't have an understanding on that one. And then on page 100, in the middle of the page, the majority of the firefighting accounts are distributed with regards to the origin of the fire and who is responsible for the payment of the account. The fire section have implemented an electronic system which will assist in the future disputes. What is this all about? I don't have a clear understanding what is this all about in terms of the fire, or to whom do we have to send an account? Can I get clarity on this? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gericke. Councillor Harris, sorry. Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, Speaker, thank you. I am not going to find any fault with this report. I can sit here and pull this report apart if I want to, but this is not my job. My job is to engage constructively in this meeting today. And I actually want to thank the mayor for this one thing of doing at least the minimum to do the reporting on the matters that happen in our region. This is vital, Mr. Mayor. The reporting, I see here the reporting on page 83, you can, you know, even on energy sources, on health, on wastewater management, all those type of of commodities, if you like, are included here in the reporting, the community and social services, sport and public safety, and so on. This is vital to understand that that we have at least reporting and accountability in terms of the issues in our communities and also in our region. Remember, we are not just an ordinary council, a city council. We are a regional council responsible for at least 5 vital legislative key requirements of the district in terms of legislation. So yes, I want to take this opportunity personally to say thank you for the way in which you report. Although if we test this on a committee level, this is where we fight it out, and this is where we interrogate the officials, and this is where we get closer information and more amplified information in this regard. But thank you for coming to council and reporting on vital issues in the region. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman Sierika. Thank you, Rihanna. Deputy Councillor Mangaliso.
Speaker, thank you. Thank you so much. I would just want to emphasize this very key thing that the Alderman Gericke has just proffered. It's just a pity he spoke before me. But we would really want to compliment this particular council in relation to the Section 52 reports and the relevant reports that are being proffered here. That we are doing what is required to ensure that there is transparency and effective reporting in relation to the work of council. And it has covered almost every area that complies to any type of Section 52 report. So once again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Alderman Mayor, for the submission of this, for the tabling of this report. We note it. It's not every day that we proffer these compliments.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mangaliso. Alderman Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know that the CFO will allude to the hardcore questions in terms of the high budget for labor disputes. Mr. Speaker, I just want to comment on all the praises which I'm getting from my fellow colleagues. I really appreciate that, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I want to re-emphasize there are 2 platforms where a mayor gets praises and where I would definitely accept those praises. It is in council and at the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you.
The ballot box, eh?
Don't forget to do that at the ballot box as well, councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a proposal. Can I get a second report with thanks and congratulations? Councillor Harris.
The CFO must just respond.
CFO, thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Speaker and Mayor and other colleagues. Councillor Harris, your question on the labour disputes, that amount included on page 99 isn't necessarily included in the budget, so we do not deduct it from any expenditure in terms of what is included in the budget. But that page 9 is a reflection of available cash. So we do include any claims that we might receive based on the best available information at the time. That number moves up and down as disputes are resolved or added. And then on your question on the fire accounts and the disputes in terms of origin and who must pay, you will note that our debtors are long outstanding, and we are well versed with the fact that it is typically because of fire accounts. And we found that firstly, we should acknowledge that if there is a large fire raging in the area, which requires typically assistance from aerial firefighting, the bill for such an account can actually rack up hundreds of thousands in a matter of a few hours. So then when a landowner receives a bill from our fire services of a size of a private landowner or as well as public landowners or at nature or other large landowners in the area or wherever the fire was fought, we do see that we do get legal challenges. There is legislation that covers us from both the side of we are able to bill the landowner on where the fire originated from. And then there's also legislation that allows us to bill the landowner of where the fire was actually fought. So so based on the best available information and the incident reports that's provided to us from the fire department, we then issue these accounts. But unfortunately, we do find historically that there's always legal challenges. And that is why we've implemented systems in an effort to strengthen our case to unequivocally prove, for instance, scientifically where the fire started, so that these cases then can move forward and that we can collect as much of these services as we can.
Thank you so much. Before I request or I give our executive mayor an opportunity, Councillor Harris, you also had your hand up again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just ask uninformed questions. If I know something, I won't ask the question. And that is not also to badmouth or to put officials or the MM in a bad position. I think I have a right to ask an uninformed question and fulfill my role as a councillor. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Can I then no? Councillor Mangaliso.
That's an old hand, Speaker. My apologies.
No problem, Councillor Mangaliso. You were really, I don't want to use the word remind me much of Mr. Mtembu, but you're also very kind-hearted, compassionate councillor. Thank you. Alderman Executive Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't want us to debate the point which I'm going to raise, but I just want to remind Council that every year we have a fire symposium. And at one of these symposiums, I got hammered when I raised the issue of a fire levy. And a couple of months after that, a national recommendations also came out that it's something that we really need to look into. And this is something that sometime, Mr. Speaker, we must really revisit that, because it will take a lot of financial weight out of the property owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. It's fair, and I mean there's lots of good sense that really dictates that. That is, Alderman, please, Mayor, that is why you lead the way, and so people follow later on. Even the president of the investment conferences perhaps would like to know. Thank you. We've got a section 52 report. We've got a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Lorse. Thank you. Now B2, section 72, mid-year budget and performance assessment. 31st of December 2020, pages 123 to page 169. Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, once again, I'm tabling this in terms of the MFMA for us to do what we just did now with the Section 52 report. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Executive Mayor. Input or comment on this report, please, colleagues. Alderman van der Hoeven.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, once again, we can't find a lot of fault in this report. When we, as the opposition, go through these reports, we're trying to find mistakes and find issues where we can nail the DA, because that is our responsibility in this council, is to expose the DA and make sure that we get votes. But Speaker, but we don't want to give credit to the DA. We can never give credit to the DA for the good administration of this council, Speaker. We as the opposition must take the credit, because it's because of our oversight role that there's such an excellent performance. And because of the administration is in extreme competent hands under the leadership of the has already been mentioned here about 30 times. And we want to labor that and thank you for that. I think it's an excellent administration under the leadership of the not the DA. We will never give credit to the DA. We've just got some issues that we want to raise. As I say, we are trying to find whatever issues. And one of the issues that I want to raise is on page 132, is the underspending regarding the operating. We should have been at 50%. We are at 44%. Perhaps it is positive that it's due to savings, but we must just make sure that service delivery, we don't underspend on service delivery. On page 160, 150, 136, the annual report not yet finalized. There's a lot of footnotes regarding the extension because of COVID-19 issues. I just want to know from the not from the mayor, is that a concern? But for the rest, Speaker, there are here and there still percentages, variances, but we in previous reports, we've got the answers.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Alderman van der Hoeven, when you said that veil, I've got a funny brain. It reminds me of Simon and Garfunkel's song that says, "I'll rather be a hammer than a nail. I'll rather be a sparrow than a snail." But thank you for that. Who is the next person on the floor? Alderman Gericke. Alderman Gericke, thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. The item listed on page 3 of the agenda, B2, tells us it's a section 72 mid-year budget and performance assessment report. And then you go to page 153, the bottom of the page, section 10, the material variances to service delivery and budget. Now, it says there that the measurement of the performance of the municipality in terms of the implementation of the SD-BIP plan are dealt with separately, and a separate report will be tabled regards the SD-BIP. I just want to know why is it so, through you, Mr. Speaker, to the or to the relevant authority, because in terms of my understanding, the SD-BIP should have been included into this report. Yes, it's giving on a quarterly basis in here, reporting on service delivery issues and so on. So I just want to understand that. That's the first question. And secondly, I will agree with Alderman van der Hoeven that we must give this credit to a powerful opposition, an informed opposition, and a powerful administration in this municipality that's doing a sterling job. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman. Diana? Councillor Spies, thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I would just like to take this opportunity to invite Alderman Gericke and Alderman van der Hoeven to repeat their speeches in councils like Knysna, where the DA is in opposition. That would be much appreciated.
Oh, jette speech, jy laat my nou so lekker lag. Ek lag nou lekker, jong, jette. Jy vang my nou, speech, nou vang jy my.
That's why they call him Scarf Speech. Thank you. Any input or comment on this issue? I see CFO.
Speaker, I thought it's spies. Now you said speech.
Pimpi. Thank you. I see the CFO, the MM. Would you like to give to the CFO an opportunity? Please proceed, Tati.
Thanks, Speaker. I'm going to ask Mr. Loliwe to respond on the annual report issue, and the CFO will deal with the budget-related and reporting issues. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Dati Loliwe.
Thank you.
Report.
Oh,
If you receive.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Speaker. I think whether the question was whether the issue of the fact that the annual report has not been finalized, is it a concern? The short answer, Speaker, is no. Because you'd recall that in the previous financial years, we've been using Circular 63, meaning that our annual report is finalized in December. But you would recall that there was an extension that was given due to COVID for the submission of financial statements to the Office of the Auditor General in October instead of August. And therefore that affected all the other deadlines, including the annual report, because the impact of that is that now we will only get our audit report on the 28th of February, 2021. And you cannot finalize your annual report without the audit report. Hence, we have then to move. If you look at the next item, there's an adjustment. There's an adjustment to the SDBIP to actually address that, because now the annual report can only be finalized in March 2021, and all the municipalities will have then to comply with that. I'm not sure if it covers everything that was asked, but that's the reason why the annual report was not achieved in December as anticipated before the extension of the submission of the financial statement and the annual report to the Office of the Auditor General. Thank you, Speaker.
Goes in that day. Please proceed. Thank you, CFO.
Thank you, Speaker. To Alderman van der Hoeven's questions about the lower expenditure, it is partially due to savings. There's a small portion that is attributed to the delayed expenditure on COVID, but it hasn't had any material impact on service delivery. And then also there is a portion of the budget that only comes into the books at year end with a number of accounting entries where, for instance, post-retirement benefits are reevaluated on an annual basis. Therefore, the fact that it is not 50% or round about 50% shouldn't be of concern to council. Then to Alderman Gericke's comment about the reference to a separate report on the SDBIP, I agree that the wording there at section 10 is not correct. It is reported on separately, but it should actually just refer to lower down in the same report. From page 158 onwards, the portion of the SDBIP is indeed included in the section 72 report. We will make sure that that wording is corrected in future section 72 reports. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, CFO. There's no further comment. Can I get a seconder for this report, please? Thank you, Elder Lady Kurtzinger. Seconded. Can we then move to C2? Is a requested or suggested adjustments on the service delivery and budget implementation plan of 2020-2021, pages 179 to 182. Any comments, input on this report, please? Thank you, Alderman Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I table this for council to approve. Thank you.
Thank you, Sigrid Meyer. There's no further input or comment. I requested that. I received none. I don't see any hands. Can I get a seconder then that we adopt this SDBIP?
I second the proposal, Speaker.
That sounds like Oudtshoorn. You on the other side of the mountain.
Yes, Speaker. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Lamajin. Section D. That's D1, is a deviation report, implementation of the supply chain management policy for the period 1st of November to 30 November. You find it on page 183 to page 188. I invite any comment or input about this report.
Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke.
No. Yeah, in the beginning of this year, in 2021, January, I'm smiling here because I really, Mr. MM, I can't believe this. Truly, I must display my heart here or express my heart. I can't believe what I see here. You must be doing something right. The total deviations, if I'm right, is at 58,585.70 cents. That is a huge, massive improvement, Mr. MM. That's all I want to say. If I say this, I recall our days in council of 2-3 consecutive years, how we fought about this. And, how we went on about deviations to see today 58,000 rand. It's a huge improvement. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We all echo that sentiment, really. Thank you. Any further input?
Speaker, I just want to echo what Councillor Gericke of Alderman Gericke has just indicated and said.
Thank you,
Allow me
Alderman.
to do that. I just want to echo that because, Speaker, there were times when the deviations were over 1 million. I think at once it was even 3 million, and we fought like mad. And now it's 58,000 rand. It's unbelievable.
I think we should at least get onto the Son first page and to the Burger and to all other papers with us. It's really, I think we're setting a benchmark here, and I don't want to say that I'm putting this on the table. Anybody that can beat us, take it. But surely we all feel the same. Thank you so much.
Speaker, can I just say, Speaker, the challenge is now to keep it up, because we will check you. It can be done. It can be done. And now if it reaches 60,000 rand, then we're going to get seriously worried, because we know it can be under 60,000 rand.
Speaker, sorry, Councillor Alderman Piet. Can I just come in here, Speaker, please?
You do. Please feel free.
Speaker.
Please feel free to do that.
Yeah, let me just play devil's advocate here, Mr. Meyer. It's not the first month. We've dealt with some of these deviation and reduction in deviations previously last year also. Just to be very naughty here, you must but so long prepare the report for the performance bonus of the municipal manager and bring that report forward, please, so that we can authorize that report. It's an early Christmas box for 2021, Mr. MM, but we will grant you that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I say,
Speaker, it's on the record.
Yeah, it's on the record.
Thank you. I don't turn back, Mr. Stratu. I don't turn back.
Thank you so much. And also thank you again for the spirit which we maintain in these council chambers and during these meetings. I think you are a brilliant team of public representatives as well as officials. Can we move on that item, please?
Speaker?
Yes, please proceed.
Deeply, I'm a very positive person. But I'm just, yes, my cup is drying because all these compliments flying around from Councillor van der Hoeven, Alderman van der Hoeven and Alderman Gericke. Van der Hoeven even confused me and Gericke. I'm just worried that we are being set up for a smackdown here.
Yeah, you must pull back, please. You must pull back and discuss this with your caucus, because this is an election here. We don't do this for nothing. There's something behind this. I just warn you on this. Thank you.
It's okay, Virgil. The DA has a position for you.
Speaker,
Oh, my
Speaker, can I be
goodness.
very clear? Speaker, can I just come in here and I want to make it very clear. The praises here is not for the DA, it's for the administration and the leadership of the MM.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, can I also just make it very clear, because before this is going to Speaker's head. This compliments
I
are
already
not
found
for
the newspaper.
It's not for the DA, it's for the administration, a powerful administration. Thank you, Mr. Mondi Strato. Thank you so much.
And mainly for the opposition who labor these issues and make sure that we are where we are now.
Yes, we serve well. We serve well on the committee, Pete. We serve very well.
I almost wanted to do what those speaker in the UK did. Order. But we don't do it in Garden Route. And to our new councillors, I think you already feel very welcome, and that you most probably enjoy the ambience that's being created. Is constructive differences and opinions on various issues all the time. But like our good, like Minister Mtembu, he could fight you on an issue, and then he will come join you for lunch. And or having coffee with you, and you'll see that the ACDP and all the other members, when they see this empty seat next to his dining table, they run to be part of his lunch. And I really appreciate the spirit that we're doing this. Thank you, Alderman Executive Mayor. Before you, Alderman, who's the other hand? Councillor Mangaliso, and then Alderman Wilson will close the matter for us. No further discussion then on that. Thank you, Councillor Mangaliso.
Speaker, the Chief Whip of the ANC has already covered the complimentary remarks, and I have noted that it has been received in very good faith and spirit. So it is already covered. Thank you, Speaker.
Alderman Executive Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've been sitting here and I've been listening to the opposition, and they are really very chuffed in this new year. And I'd like to acknowledge their powerfulness. And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, it's not just about the opposition being very powerful. It is also about the ruling party being sober-minded and constructive. And I want to praise them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, you got to lead. You got to lead by example, Mr. Mayor. You got to lead your guys.
Thank you. No further discussion. We've got a proposal, a seconder. The executive mayor proposed, and the seconder we've got. Can we then move on? We are now 60. Can I please ask for 2 minutes? I just need to stand up. Because, you know, when you reach this age of mine, 86, you need to stand up to get the blood circulating again.
Speaker, is it just me, or is the committee muted, or?
Thank you, Councillor Mangaliso. I am also, are we on a break?
Yeah, just for 2 minutes. The speaker's just standing around.
Oh,
Just wants
okay.
to stretch.
Ek sien hom maar agteron beweeg. Okay, thanks, Councillor Spies.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the 5 minutes. Can we proceed? May we proceed, please? We are now under Schedule E. As E1 is a report on the draft proposed schedule of meetings for 2021 in respect of council and committees for the period January until June 2021. Thank you, Other Lady Councillor.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. This is just our monthly report as to council's meetings of Section 80s and council meetings and 79 meetings taking place. So we should please organize and plan our diaries accordingly. And I want to propose that we accept this this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Other Lady. Councillor Harris. Thank you, Secretary. And I always plead with the B municipalities, please stick to your schedule. I know life happens and that you need to change it sometimes, but let's try our best because there's always conflict with meetings. And when I miss something, I must always say, yeah.
Speaker.
Picks me from to attend both meetings at both times. It's impossible. Thank you. That Elder Lady
Volmerans.
Elder Lady Volmerans, please proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, has it been seconded by Councillor Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on this? Thank you. It remains the prerogative of the Speaker on advice of the Executive Mayor, Municipal Manager, Administration. If you need to move it, we'll try to restrict it as much as possible. But as I say, there could some things could happen. For instance, like the Auditor General that sends us a circular to say that report will not be able to serve due to this and that reason, and then we have to move the meeting. Thank you. E2 is a report regarding the gender mainstreaming capacity building workshop, pages 199 to 230. Comment. Thank you, Other Lady Kurtziner.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. Look, I just want to quote something that I read a long time ago that says the hardest thing to open is a closed mind. And when it comes to gender mainstreaming, only this morning here in Chambers, I have once again experienced the discrimination that still exists against women in the workplace. It's so sad, but it's also, I reckon it's prehistoric and it's unacceptable. So as far as the gender mainstreaming is concerned, Garden Route has been identified as the flagship municipality in the Western Cape to start with this, and I think progress that we've made is remarkable. Once again, we've had a few. I think this was the third workshop that was held with the staff members to explain to them what is mainstreaming about and why it matters in local government, and the understanding of the legislation or the legislative framework with topics of discussion, or with some of the topics of discussion. The sustainable development goals were discussed with them, and this is part of the 2030 program for sustainable development, and it's a human rights violation if we do not achieve what is expected of us. So, gender equality refers to the equal rights, responsibilities, opportunities, benefits for men and women, boys and girls. How you were born, a male or a female, should not determine your rights, responsibilities, or the opportunities, as well the respect and dignity that you experience in life. So the mainstreaming is a tool to integrate women's and men's needs into the design and the implementation, monitoring and evaluation of policies and programs in political, economic, religious, and as well in the social sphere. So please, I also need to say to you that this is part of our constitution, section 187 in brackets 1, that we should really make a certain effort to give people the opportunities and the opportunities when it comes to succession planning, and it comes to job evaluations, and it comes to this and that, to give women and girls and the fair chance to achieve what they are rightfully entitled. So I want to please recommend that we accept this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elder Lady Kurtziner. Thank you, Rihanna. Councillor Chaba. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Speaker, I think first we must really commend ourselves first that we are here as a council, that we are at the space now. We have started the legislative process and policies putting in place, because initially that is where it starts. And secondly, now we are moving in the space where now we are doing the actual training for ourselves, for the staff. And I hope that the next step will be for ourselves as the political leadership to be able to be trained in terms of understanding the concepts and the content of this gender mainstreaming. Because I'm glad that now with this whole document, with this training, there is the sustainable development goals being put in place to highlight this gender equality. Because with all our policies, whether it is the policy of your procurement, the policy of employment, it will be zooming in deeply now to assist us in terms of to stimulate the opportunities for women and also for girls. But what I want to emphasize, you know, where we can also play a very critical role, that ourselves we're going to be trained as leadership, and that we need to be able to take it to our communities, where that especially one that we are going, we're gonna be undergoing the local government the local government change, and we must be able to demonstrate that the female representation in terms of election and electing, that we place it on the high note, so that we are able to have a better representation in terms of leadership in council. And so that then we will be demonstrating best practices for the private sector and also for organizations out there that will lead in the front as political parties and institutions. So I think this sustainable developmental goals, and also us taking this gender mainstreaming, and the next phase is also to take it to our communities. I'm excited about it because now I can see that the work has been started and that this model will assist us in going forward, because we are not there yet. We cannot commend ourselves too much. We are not there yet. The violence against women and children is very high. The statistics, they are very high, but at least we are in the right direction. We are in work in progress, and this is a demonstration for us to go forward so that we can have a live document that are being implementable, and to understand what is the between women and female, how are we supposed to be, our behavior towards one another, and what is it deemed abusive, what is it deemed inappropriate. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Councillor Chava. Elder Lady Wolmerans.
Thank you, Speaker. I couldn't agree more with Councillor Chaba, and I want to second the proposal coming from Councillor Kritzinger. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No further comment. Then we conclude by saying the ladies have spoken. And wasn't that just wonderful to hear 3 female voices, competent, worthwhile, educational to listen to, and the manner in which they did it also. Thank you so much to our 3 ladies that represented and participated in this debate. Thank you. Can we then move on the E3, report on sexual harassment workshop, pages 231 to 263. Comment input. Thank you, Elder Lady Kritzinger. Please proceed.
Yes, Speaker, thank you very much. This workshop was held to inform the staff of Garden Group Municipality about the rules and regulations regarding the sexual harassment policy. It was done to inform staff what is instituted as sexual harassment, the different types of harassment, and the effect it has on victims or the harasser, for what it's worth, in the workplace and personal lives of these people. The workshop was held prior to the finalization of our policy. So the input that we received from our officials were basically were taken into consideration and taken up in this policy. So I want you to sort of acknowledge the value of this workshop, and then also ask council to accept the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elder Lady. Thank you, Rihanna. Councillor Chaba.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, thank you that this report is actually now, this policy is actually here so that we can move with speed, because, you know, it's important. I know Councillor Harika always caution us about harassment, what is harassment, but at least we have a living document now that we can work from, so that we are able to protect one another from inappropriate behaviors. We move.
Thank you, Councillor. Are you done? Are you through, Councillor Chaba?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, because you faded a bit in the end. The audio faded. You didn't. I don't think you'll ever fade. But yeah, thank you, Rihanna. Elder Lady Bobrand.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to second the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elder Lady. Can I give Alderman Zerika also an opportunity?
Yes, Speaker. Thank you very much indeed. Now Councillor Chaba, through the Speaker, we welcome the report on sexual harassment workshop. This is part of the rights of any individual to be protected in terms of the Constitution. Because I am, you know, a great supporter of the Constitution Act of the Republic of South Africa, and actually a constitutionalist. I always want to make sure that our policies, whatever the policy is, that it is in sync with our Constitution and with the objectives and principles of our constitutional democracy. The one. Two is also to make sure that policies are not being used and abused, you know, to bully individuals and to bully people, to get at people. But overall, we welcome the policy, and we hope that this will give us, you know, clear guidelines on how to act and to conduct ourselves. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Alderman. Councillor Mangaliso.
Speaker, my input is just to say that to break the perception that the issue of gender mainstreaming, and in this case, in terms of this item, sexual harassment policies, to break the perception that it should only be communicated by women. I think men are the perpetrators, are the main perpetrators of all these atrocities related to these particular items. And I think it would only be proper to, as a male, to proffer our support, to express to all women in the workplace that there are men in council, within the ANC and the opposition, that see the value of protecting the rights of women in the workplace. So yeah, that is what I wanted to input. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Councillor. Sure. Is there no further input on this regard? May we then proceed? Thank you. We are then on E4. Got a report on amendment on micro-organizational structure of the Garden District Municipality, pages 264 to 268. Thank you, Honourable Lady Councillor.
Thank you, Speaker. The Rural Roads Assessment Management System grant has basically forced us to change our structures in the two departments to accommodate the technicians that are basically needed to for this contract. Is a 3-year contract, as well as the GIS technician, which was unanimously decided by the two departments that it should, the GIS person should report to the IT department. So both these changes were made due to this rural road assessment grant, and it's only for a period of 3 years. Thank you, sir. I want to propose that we accept it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Rihanna.
Speaker.
Alderman van der Werven, and did I hear Councillor Speak's voice?
Yes, I'll wait for Councillor van der Werven.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, seeing that we've got no say over the roads department and that we are micromanaged from province, does this item belong here? Do we have any say on this? I raise my case.
Thank you. We missed that. Thank you, MM. I'll give you an opportunity. Thank you. I've heard Councillor Chikolo and Councillor Spees.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, two issues on this item. The first one is just a question of the corporate services position of the GIS technician. I just want to understand, is it also linked to the road services department? I mean, financially, is it also part of this funding that we receive for the ramps? Just want to know, or are we going to budget for that internally? And my second one, Speaker, is the comments from the executive management. I do feel, Speaker, that items like these, the directorates or the departments involved at least should make comments. If you look at the comments there, there's none. And I would really like to know, why are there no comments? Is it because they're not supporting the item, or they actually didn't have anything to say? Because I do feel like items like these need to be supported or commented to by the respective directorates or departments. Thanks, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Chikolo. Councillor Spees.
Speaker, I wanted to just second the adoption of the recommendations, but the MM still has must still get an opportunity to answer some questions, or the roads director must answer some questions. So I'll wait for that.
Thank you. No, I waited for all comments and input so that the MM can respond. The MM, please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. To Councillor Alderman van der Werven, indeed, this belongs here. It's our item. And as much as we have a lot of issues with the relationship with the Department of Transport and Public Works, we are still responsible for all those employees that are in the roads department, including these ones. And they must be hired in terms of our own structure, which structure must be approved by this council. So it is in the right place. We're continuing with the engagements to address the issues that all of us are aware of in terms of the relationships. The issue of the comments, I think we have raised the matter as well ourselves, Speaker, but specifically for this item, all managers were present in the prelim when we discussed the item. So this was properly consulted and everybody is at idem. I think it's a matter that we've addressed in the previous prelim, that HODs must record their comments clearly for councillors to understand. This is the other one. or the reporting lines. Okay, the GIS technician, Councillor Chokolo, is part of the REMS grant, but it's an IT specialty, and we felt that it should be housed under the IT department. So it's not going to be budgeted for by us. It's part of the grant from REMS that we paid from that grant.
Thank you, Ahmed. Can we move on this item?
Yes, please, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. I honestly
I second Councillor Kritzinger.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Spies. Can we then move to the next item? Personally, I would just like to say, GSI official, what here is becoming so important. It is extremely important. And I don't think an institution, more specifically to us, that's a regional district municipality. I know my wife is a valuer, and you can't work without the GI system. And I mean, income, in all departments, is very disastrous. Just a personal view. Thank you. Can we then move to section F1? It's an update report of the actions taken by the district COVID-19 Command Council to address the COVID-19 pandemic, pages 269 to 323. F1. Mr. Mayor, would you like to introduce the report, and perhaps also, and thanks again for the part that you play, the role that you play. We really appreciate it, but please, you can submit the report to us. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we're well aware that there's a lot of people dealing with this COVID pandemic behind the scenes, and especially those who are at the front line. Mr. Speaker, once again, we want to say thank you for them for giving their all and risking their lives to save other people's lives. And Mr. Speaker, I'm also glad to say, although Gerard will give us the latest, that in the Western Cape, the Garden Route a couple of days ago, as shown on the curve, that is one of the fastest declining regions within the Western Cape in terms of the numbers coming down and the curve showing a downward spiral. But once again, we must not get tired and get COVID fatigue. We must still do what is expected of us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Like the poet says, it's the hill that we must climb. Thank you.
I think Gerard will now give us the latest. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard.
Good afternoon, Speaker. Good afternoon, Mayor and all councillors. If it's possible for me to share my screen, then I will quickly run through a couple of slides for you.
Thank you, do that.
Can everyone see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, councillors, just to start off with, I want to just give you an overview of where we are in terms of all the districts. This was a snapshot I took on Tuesday the 19th, and you will see if we refer to the Garden Route, which is this graph right at the bottom, we are the furthest down in the decline in terms of the COVID second wave in the districts. So the other districts are still, some of them on a plateau, and the West Coast is the one that they're still concerned of. It's showing a plateau, but it's not going down as fast as the others get. So looking at this over the last 7 days, I've put the slide together to just show you at the point 14 to 18 January, the district was actually on a plateau. We were on 5,000 on the highest point, and then we had a blip in coming down. I'll show you that on a graph as well now. But now for the last consecutive 4 days, we've seen a clear drop in active cases with 806 cases dropping over the last 4 days, which is more than 200 per day. If we look at this in a graph format, you will see that at the bottom, that is the first wave of COVID infections. And at the top, we have placed the second wave of COVID infections. And the area that I was referring to, that blip, was that area there, around there in the beginning of January. But now you will see that the trend is clearly going down, in line with also as the first wave of infection was. For today, this is the perspective of how the cases looks at each of the local municipal areas, with a total of 2,000 active cases. I've mentioned that we were nearly on 5,000 at the peak of the second wave, and it looks much better now for our district. Unfortunately, our fatalities is rising, and I've done a couple of slides in that regard just to give you a bit more detail in that regard. So the area with the most active cases still is George, 600. And then that is followed by Mossel Bay at 408, and then Oudtshoorn at 329. That is in terms of active cases. If I look at how this active cases compares as a percentage per 100,000 of population, the green indicates that for the last week you've seen a drop at all the local municipal areas in terms of active cases, and our total per 100,000 of population at this point is 363. And if we look at the Western Cape, now they're on 422. Last week they were on 564. If I refer to the Western Cape, it's mostly the metropole, and then this is for our district, the figure that I've indicated here. From the data available, if I look at the current position in the district, and specifically in our hospitals, it looks much better at this point in time. I had a discussion with Dr. Marshall at our last COVID meeting, and he indicated to me if we can stay at this, they're capable to deal with the caseload, but at the same time, we are slowly moving towards reaching herd immunity. So as long as it stays at the levels where it's now, we can deal with it. And that is what we're trying to maintain, and also drive down the rate of infections in the same way. In the George Hospital, the current usage is 75% of the general COVID beds and 50% of critical beds. Ladysmith and Oudtshoorn hospitals are the busiest at this point still, but they are managing, and our other district hospitals is not under pressure at this moment. Just an interesting point, in the Western Cape, the oxygen demand peaked at 80 tons per day. During the first wave of infections, that was about 39.5 tons. 70 tons of the 80 tons is produced in the Western Cape, and 10 tons is imported from the Eastern Cape. And this comes at a total cost of 15 million per month. Quite a costly exercise. If I look at the position at our quarantine and isolation facilities, in Petro SA, there's 11 people in quarantine. This figure was as for today, and then 32 in isolation. At the Gateway Lodge, there's no people in quarantine and 1 person in isolation. The Department of Health did contact the owner of the Gateway Lodge, and they indicated that although the uptake at the Gateway Lodge is not that high, the facility will remain open for February and March. And then everything is underway to open up the Q&I facility at Preekstoel Hesekwa, and the appointment of 2 professional nurses and 2 staff nurses is currently being done. Now, just to reflect a little bit on the fatalities in the district, I think all of us is watching, keeping a close eye on that. If I look at the average age of people dying during the second wave of infection at each of the municipal areas, I've reflected it on this slide. You will see in the average age in Hesekwa was 65, in Mossel Bay 67, in George 62, in Knysna 64, in Bito 59, in Kannaland 62, and in Oudtshoorn 62 as well. That gives us a district average of about 63. And if we compare this to the first wave, where the average was 62, it's pretty much the same as in the first wave. Then I've also looked at the percentage of people that die, that contract COVID. And that is this last column on my slide here. And you will see, you can say 5.8 people of every 100 in Oudtshoorn die. 4.46 people of every 100 per people in Hesekwa that contracts COVID die. So that's just for background. We are still trying to drill down to see why this figure in Oudtshoorn and Hesekwa is higher than the rest of our district average of 3.6. Then the latest update I received in terms of our funeral undertakers. At this point in time, our funeral undertakers is not that much under pressure anymore, and there's 46% spare capacity in the district at this point. Then also looking at the fatalities at each of the municipal areas, obviously George being the biggest has also got the most fatalities at 366, followed by Oudtshoorn at 212, 189 in Mossel Bay, etc. We'll provide this data to council. But what I've done is I've tried to look at where the people reside that die in each of our towns. Now, for the George area, the most people is in Thembaletu, followed by Pockelsdorp. Where it indicates George is where our information provided by the Department of Health is not clear specifically to the address. So it indicates George. But it does give us an idea of where the people reside in each town. There's been a question in that regard by councillors before. So I tried to give you a breakdown of where the people reside in each of the towns. Then in Mossel Bay, obviously the information for Mossel Bay was not that clear, and it indicates Mossel Bay. But second to that was Hartenbos. Now, in my view, I think it's more older people, as we could see with the first slides, and more older people residing in Hartenbos. That's why the figure for Hartenbos indicates 24 of the people in the Mossel Bay areas resided in Hartenbos. Greatbrak and Kwanongaba is following that, and then the rest after that. Looking at Knysna, it was also not clear. So Knysna, the information was indicating Knysna, but then followed by that was Hornley and then Sedgefield and Renendal. And then looking at Pito, it was Kwanakutula, followed by the Plet, which could be anywhere in Plet, but then New Horizons, Kranshoek, Wittedrift. And then for Oudtshoorn, it was Bridgeton, followed by Oudtshoorn, then Bongoletu, Duiselsdorp, Toekomsrust. And looking then at Hessequa, it was Riversdale, and then Albertina, Heidelberg. And lastly, for Kannaland, it was Ladysmith, Calitzdorp, Zoar. Then I'd just to speak a little bit on the vaccination, because I think everyone is talking about this. We are well aware that a third as well as future wave of infection up to a point when herd immunity is reached is very possible. But the most powerful weapon to turn the tide against the COVID-19 pandemic is a vaccine. Now, we are aware that the Republic of South Africa purchased 1 million doses of the Covishield vaccine to be delivered by the end of January, and then a further 500,000 doses to be delivered in February. The Covishield is developed by the University of Oxford, AstraZeneca at the Serum Institute of India at the cost of around $4 per jab or per shot. And the dosing schedule is 4 weeks apart. So you'll be dosed and then 4 weeks later get the booster. India launched the world's largest coronavirus vaccine rollout last week after 2 vaccines, Covishield and Hyderabad-based Bharat Biokinetic Covax, were cleared by the drug controller DCGI. The Serum Institute makes vaccines against polio, diphtheria, tetanus, hepatitis B, measles, mumps, rubella, which are all exported to more than 170 countries. And the company has spent $1 billion in recent years enlarging and improving the giant Pune campus. Now, the Department of Health vaccination program will start with all healthcare workers, and then essential workers will follow. Just to give you an overview of how this looks, the phase 1, as I've indicated, targeting 105,000 people, would be the public and private healthcare sections, critical care workers, CHWs, healthcare students, and traditional healers. That will then be followed by essential workers, older than 60 years people, also then older than 18 years with comorbidities, and that target is 2 million. And then followed by that will be a phase 3 for people older than 18 years, and the target there is 3 million. That is for the Western Cape alone. But in terms of what I can see, I do not see that the broader section of our communities will be vaccinated within the next 6 to 9 months. If I just look at the Western Cape, our total population being around 7 million and 6.2 of them older than 18 years, it's quite a daunting job. The rollout of our vaccination program will surely be one of the biggest logistical tasks that this country has undertaken. And we've been informed that the disaster management centers would form an integral part of this program to assist with coordination between all role players, as well as to provide logistical support. Then I just need to also inform Council of 2 other concerns and challenges that we've been made aware of. First of all is we're going to be in for a difficult winter, as Eskom was experiencing generation capacity problems, and there will be many days of load shedding. In addition to that, we are keeping a close eye on the Tierkloof Dam, which is now dropping fast, and we know that is the main water supply for Zoa. Now, the following slides, as you remember, I'm a disaster manager, so I have to look at the worst case planning scenario. So the following slides, everyone might not like to see, but this is the planning that I'm looking at. First of all, if we look at the Wuhan strain, if we call the first wave the Wuhan strain, it started around the 20th of June. It peaked on the 25th July to 30 July, a 5-day period, and then it ended around the 12th of September. If I call the second wave the 501 strain, that started around the 9th of November. Inevitably, it also took about 35 days to get to the peak, which was also 5 days, 14 to 19 December. So if I look at that, and I look at the first wave, we could see the end of our second wave around the 31st of January. Now, to look in the crystal ball at this point is very difficult, although because there's a lot of data that's that still needs to be provided. But if I take this first 2 waves, and we are about 3 weeks ahead of the rest of the Western Cape, so we've got a little bit more data than they've already got. So if I take that and I factor this forward for what could be expected a third wave, my view is maybe in April, end of April, we will see the third wave starting, or middle April, peaking around about May, and then that might be over again by the 24th of June. Now, the worrying thing which we have to plan for is in terms of dealing with the active cases. Now, we will see in the first wave, we peaked at 1,980 active cases. That increased by 152% to 4,997 in the second wave. Now, if I use the same factor for a third wave, we can be around 12,000 active cases for a third wave. And that is where my concern is in terms of, do we have enough staff, healthcare practitioners, etc., to deal with that amount of active cases? In addition to that, if we look at the fatalities, in the first wave, we had around 348. We are still counting on the second wave, but it's more than 700 already on the second wave. If we take the same growth in fatalities for the third wave, we could see more than 1,050 fatalities in a third wave. So, councillors, I'm not a prophet of doom, but I want to caution you, COVID is not over yet. So if I look at this in a graph, on graphs, that is the first wave, the second wave at a 60% growth, that'll be the third. If the third wave is at 120% growth, there we will get to 14,000 active cases. So hopefully we don't get there. So I'm going to end off with a little bit of good news. We've been informed that it's too early to give accurate modeling for a third wave. I've just used the info that I've got available. Professor Andrew Ball, who actually exactly predicted the second wave peak for the Western Cape, has indicated that what they've picked up is that during the second wave of COVID infections in Kailicha, they never reached the peak as in the first wave. This could mean that in Kailicha there's a form of herd immunity already, but at this point in time, it's too early to provide conclusive modeling. We also noticed a similar trend in Thembalethu. As for the first wave, most of our infections was in Thembalethu, but in the second wave, it was Thembalethu and everywhere. So that is what was said so far. I'm concerned that the herd immunity that we're seeing in Kailicha could be only for the Wuhan strain, the first strain, and not for the 501 strain, as we also now know that you can be reinfected even if you had COVID in the first spike. Council, that is from my side. I am open for questions if there's any questions.
Thank you very much, Gerrit. The floor is now open for questions of clarity. Thank you. Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to the gentleman to repeat where he mentioned that the Garden Route District command team or whatever will also be involved in the rollout of the vaccination process. Can you just elaborate on that one, please?
Thank you. Any further input or comment? And then I'll request, thank you, Alderman.
Speaker, my hand is up.
Thank you, Alderman van der Werven. Please proceed.
First of all, Speaker, I just want to ask, is there a way we can get the slides that have just been submitted for to be emailed to us, if it's possible? Because I think, and then secondly, I want to thank Mr. Otto and his team. I think Mr. Africa also, for keeping us updated on all these issues. Perhaps that slide on where we are at this, where we are in terms of the second wave, and I think if that can be forwarded to us on a regular basis, and also the cases per ward, because it is most important that one knows where the crises are. We get figures on a regular basis, but it doesn't. It's not narrow enough. Thank you for that. Leave it there.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke.
Speaker, thank you. Thank you to Mr. Otto and his team, Mr. Clive Africa, and I think Dr. Skuman as well, and all the other teams. Your team has been brilliant throughout. And each time when we call upon you, you have responded, and you have responded very well. I have 2 or 3 concerns, Mr. Speaker. One is, Mr. Mayor, you must take cognizance of the following. Is the legislative authority around the enforcement of lockdown regulations. We've experienced that when we call, for instance, on the district municipality, their team, when it comes to businesses that ignore COVID regulations and so on, they would go out, give people notices and so on. But even when they find those people and those businesses remain open, still ignoring COVID regulations, meaning not wearing masks or sanitizing and so on, I've learned that there's no way of enforcing, the type of legislation or to close down these guys. We've dealt with an incident in our community in Packersdorp, and these guys simply just remained open all the time. Although they defy and transgress, they simply just remain open. The law enforcement of the George municipality will tell you they don't have the powers to act, and the district municipality will say we can only come thus far. And the police say it's not our authority. That's basically where we are. I want you to investigate that, because as we've just heard from Mr. Otto, we cannot predict that we over this, and we may expect a 3rd wave also. That's a very serious point to me, because arrogant business owners are just ignoring, and they're moving on, and they are in many instances the cause of infection of clients, spreading the virus and so on. Then you've mentioned, Mr. Otto, the more personnel might be needed. I want to submit a serious plea. If more people must be appointed, we must entertain that process speedily, or address that problem speedily, because you must have hands, you must have experienced personnel that can assist in flattening the curve and then uprooting this virus. And it's a serious point to be considered, Mr. Mayor. Listen to the plea in this presentation of what Mr. Otto has said. Doesn't matter where those people are coming from, as long as you appoint people that can assist in the process. And then I would also just have some clarity from Mr. Otto. I think Alderman van der Woofen has asked a question. The rollout, the vaccines that will become available. Obviously, we do not know now. As for now, we do not know what's the percentage of vaccines that will be allocated to our region, for instance. I don't know if you know. But in terms of the rollout process, how is this going to work? Who's going to control the process, supervise, manage the process, and which type of companies will be utilized to distribute the vaccine? Mr. Otto, through the speaker. And then there was a last point with regard to the 3rd wave. We must be proactive in terms of the 3rd wave. And in this presentation, Mr. Otto, I take cognizance of the facts and the stats and so on, but obviously there must be a strategy that you must one time or the other come and present to this council to say, these are the plans that we have in terms of the 3rd. I take cognizance of the herd immunity that you're talking about. That means simply that people are now becoming, I don't know what's the right word, immune to this virus. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I doubt it. But those are my concerns. Thank you very much indeed, sir.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Gericke, can we then request our secret by Alderman Boyset just to tie up the issue? And I know that Mr. Mayor, from our side, I think we would like to convey our sincere thanks to you in person, also for what you're doing as our leader in this regard, and with the team of Gerard and Mr. Africa and then everybody involved. Thank you to you, Mr. Executive Mayor, for the passion and the sincerity and the urgency that you performed and execute on our behalf and our this whole region and district for what you do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is just a notice for council. A lot of the questions that has been asked, I'm sure that we will get the answers on the 25th of this month, because the Premier have already scheduled a meeting, special meeting, where we will be dealing with all of these matters, and specifically the vaccine rollout for the Western Cape as a whole. So after the 25th, we will have more details in terms of, because it's got to be led by the provincial government, health department, and the Premier's office. So we will be part of that meeting and we will communicate the finer details. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Mayor. Thank you, colleagues. We take note with thanks and appreciation, and praise the Lord that it's going downwards, but that doesn't mean that no one can become complacent. We can change things around on the third wave, or Mr. Otto. You could be surprised that the people will stop listening to adhere to rules as well. And surely, like I said, the numbers became names and we know them. And it's as a responsible citizen, everybody should adhere to those rules. But thank you. Thank you, Farah. Thank you, Mr. Africa. Thank you. Can we then move to the section G? There's nothing. Section H is the report on the attendance of the Namibia Tourism Expo 2020. You'll find it on page 324 to 330. Thank you. Councillor Matiwani.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, thank you very much. I have a question in page 327. Speaker, if you go to the report, it indicates financial implications. I want to welcome the report first about the Namibian Tourism Expo. But then if you go to the amount, there was 180,000 which was allocated to this NGO for Tourism Expo. But go down underneath, the cost that has been allocated is 28,000. For me, I want to know what was the rationale that was applied in giving them 180,000. Whereas to us, we don't see a value for money. We only see 28,000 which has been committed towards this event, because we don't see any breakdown of money. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Matiwani. Any further input or comment in this regard? Thank you, Rihanna. Alderman Gericke, thank you.
Yes, Speaker, thank you very much. I note that the expo has been attended by the Outsourcing and the Rust Tourism, represented the Garden Route and Kleinkaro region. I just want to know whether some officials of the district municipality accompanied, and who are those officials, and whether some councillors accompanied this delegation, and who are they, if they have attended. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Any further input or comment on this matter? None. Can I request any responses to the questions raised? Who's going to respond? Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I note the two questions that have been posed by the councillors. I'll start with the last question that was posed by Alderman Gericke. And my response is that there were no officials as well as councillors that attended this particular expo in Namibia. One of the main reasons was that there were challenges with regards to the flights and the borders, etc., that we could not even get the necessary flights to Namibia. So therefore, we were unable to send officials and councillors to this expo. And one also issue that was raised is around the budget. The 180 is the total budget that we had budgeted for this particular expo. And it was money that was given to the rest and Oton Tourism Association to represent Garden Route. We bought stands, etc., and everything like that. And only 28,000 was used, as correctly noted by Councillor Matiwana, and the remainder of the amount has been returned back to the district municipality. So it's a saving, because majority of the money was going to be used towards the transport and accommodation. Due to the relationship that we have established with the rest, as well as Oton LTO, they represented the Garden Route district municipality in that particular exhibition, and we have actually saved. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Dr. Menze. Everybody covered? Can we move on this item? Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, Lady Councillor. Lady Councillor. It's a double lady. Thank you. Can we then move to the H2 report regarding the Garden Route investment prospectus? Can I just share with the House, I was so proud when I requested this prospectus, because what I do as a representative from Mossel Bay, I share with the municipal manager and the municipality of Mossel Bay the agendas of Garden Route, so that they know what I'm doing here. I represent Mossel Bay municipality as well. So what happened is that the municipal manager requested, can you please provide him with the prospectus as contained in the report? I said, yes, I'll try my best. And this morning, this prospectus was delivered in a nice package, and I added some biltong, some Lindt chocolates to the package as well, for the soup and the seed. And they phoned me early this morning, even before I got here, because my wife took it to their offices, just to thank them and congratulate this municipality on an excellent piece of work. I don't want to steal anybody's fire, but we are now on that item. I just wanted to skim it a bit and to say that I'm as proud. I had to replace some buttons on my shirt. But that's H2, report regarding the Garden Route investment prospectus, 331 to page 378. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would really like to congratulate the MMN's team. This prospectus is indeed a milestone, and it's probably, once again, one of the few municipalities that has probably come up with this. But Mr. Speaker, this goes further than just tabling this item and mentioning the worth of this investment prospectus. Mr. Speaker, we will remember that we had a couple of investment conferences as the Garden Route, and then national government also followed suit. They had about 2 after hours. And then, Mr. Speaker, out of that, I think, if I remember correctly, even President Ramaphosa in his State of the Nation's addresses, he mentioned the fact that it is now about economic growth and turning around the economy. Now, out of all of these initiatives, Mr. Speaker, I've been reliably informed there's an international pledge from a lot of the first world countries of $300 billion over a 3-year period for development in South Africa. And the provincial government will probably, within the first tranche, receive $50 million. And this prospectus of ours is already on the desk of the Premier to make sure that we don't miss the boat. And we will make sure that we keep on being vigilant and make sure that we do benefit from this international pledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Executive Mayor. Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't check, but I just want to know if that prospectus is available on our website.
Yes.
Thank you. You've got Councillor Harris' question. Any further input or comment on this matter? If none, then, is that Alderman Gericke?
Yes, sorry for this, but let me just also elaborate. Say thank you to the administration and the political authority involved. Yes, we have to recover the economy of the region again, and we welcome every step to dignify our economy again, to create jobs again, to put people back in work. But I want to do a serious plea also that I take note of the assistance that the district municipality has rolled out in order to assist small business. I again reiterate the call for bigger amounts and a bigger chunk to be allocated for the revival of small business in our region. Mr. Mayor, we've got to contribute more money and more resources in order to sustain our economy and to make it grow after this pandemic again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman. Can I then give the opportunity, Evan, would you like, or Mr. Menzi?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. To answer the question from Councillor Harris, one of our aims is that we have the hard copy version of it, and then we do have the soft copy, and then now NENCO made a commitment to say that we must work together with the communications department on a rigorous drive to try and market this particular prospectus. And we want to have our own website wherein any person anywhere in the world would be able to access this, and also be accessible in all the other key marketing digital platforms that are there, because we want to digitize it so that we do not only rely on the hard copy version of it, but also have it on a digital platform where any investor, be it in America or anywhere in the whole world, will be able to have access to some of the investment opportunities in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Menzi. Alderman van der Woerford, thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we haven't got words more than to say we welcome this. We more than welcome this. It is. I don't want to say it's long outstanding, but it is necessary. The dynamic comes in with the implementation. We've got this report. We've got this information in front of us. Speaker, can we set deadlines for the implementation thereof? Can we have a process plan to implement this? Because this is that will advance us to a huge extent. I raise my case there.
Thank you. I get a good nod, a very proud nod here from my left-hand side. Thank you, Emma.
Yes, Speaker. Thank you very much, Councillors. Indeed, each project that emanates from this prospectus will be aligned to a implementation plan. We're working with various partners already. Councillors, the presidency is one of the partners. We're working with IDC, working with TBSA, we're working with the provincial government. As Sandra was saying, Westgrow will also be assisting us in marketing over and above our own marketing strategy. So the implementation plan is dependent on the particular project. For instance, if you take the investment on alternative energy, where you talk about wind or solar power, that is dependent on various things, including authorizations from the Department of Energy. So it's not an easy thing, but we're hoping that in the next 2 to 3 years, some of the big projects here should be able to be on the ground, creating jobs and changing the landscape of this region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you, Mr. Menzi.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Speaker. I've just been corrected, Councillor Harris, by my colleagues. They are saying that once Council approves this prospectus, it will be on the website.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Can we then move to the addendum? You all received it. Thank you, Rihanna, for sending it to us timely. Item C3. Memorandum of Agreement between Garden Route District Municipality, National and Provincial Department of Human Settlement and the Housing Development Agency, pages 3 to 16. You received it. Amen. Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you, Speaker. Just again, a brief background, councillors. You will recall last year in June that this council agreed or approved the resolution to apply for accreditation as a human settlement municipality or a housing agent. Part of that process then was to enter into various agreements with the provincial and national departments and the housing development agents. We have already, I've said, reported here that we have already concluded an MOA with the province. Now, in front of council now, which I already apologize for it being late, is the memorandum of agreement that must be concluded between the four entities, which is the National Department of Human Settlements, the Provincial Department, Garden Route, and the Housing Development Agency. The MOA is supposed to be signed by the political principals, which is Minister Sisulu, Minister Summers, the Executive Mayor, and the Chairperson of the HDA. This agreement covers the Southern Cape Development Corridor. The project was launched in announced 2016 between Knysna and Pito. However, for various reasons, it never took off. The National Department, as we reported last, came to us to say they want us to take the project. You will recall, councillors, that there were presentations in council and in the DCM. We've been waiting for this document for quite some time. It is now here. Part of this document, Speaker and Executive Mayor and councillors, is the implementation protocol. That protocol we also circulated this morning must be signed by the accounting officers of the various entities, the Director General of Human Settlements, the HOD for Human Settlements in the province, the MM of the Garden Route, and the CEO of the Development Agency. That implementation protocol will also contain an implementation plan, which will then explain the land parcels, the projects, and all the work that needs to be done in the two municipalities. However, as you will know, this was originally meant for Pito and Knysna. There is agreement that it will be extended to the other municipalities in the region, depending on the funds that the national government will be providing. The mechanisms for implementation are such that the national department will provide funding to the district municipality to carry out these projects. Similarly, the provincial department will do the same. Our plan is mainly to start with the gap housing projects. The HDA will procure land for those projects, and the various departments must provide funding, and we are building capacity. And one of the key principles is that the funds must follow the function. So these two departments, national and provincial, and the HDA, for whatever project we must carry, that must be performed by any official. They must provide money for that. We are building that capacity with them. We reported that we've already started with the two officials that the provincial is paying for. So you must rest assured that the district municipality will not carry any funds without them being provided for by the national department. In the recommendations, Speaker, we had recommended one recommendation initially because we had not received the implementation protocol. So we'd like to amend the recommendations that number one reads that council grants the executive mayor delegation to sign the MOA or the memorandum of agreement on behalf of the Garden Route municipality, and that two, that council grants the municipal manager the delegation to sign the implementation protocol and other implementation plans that may follow. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much. I just love it when an MOU turns into an MOA. It's from a memorandum of understanding, you've got a common understanding, and then you move to something MOA, and that is That is like winning a lotto. Those that play it. But let's give our executive mayor and the MM a hand. Congratulations on this milestone. Thank you. Historic.
Okay.
Any comment or input, Rihanna? Thank you, Councillor Spies.
No, Speaker. I'm waiting for the compliments from Councillor Gericke and Councillor van der Hoeven first before I propose.
Okay. I see that you're getting used to echoes. You can start the echo if you want to. But it's fine.
Speaker, I'd like to propose that we accept the recommendations as the amendments as the MM laid them out. Thanks.
Please, sorry, I would just like to thank you, Rihanna. I'll just give you a second before I lose this in my mind. Not before, before I lose it in my mind. I just would like to say that in terms of, I think, in Section 73 of the Structures Act, that all delegations being executed by the executive mayor, any office bearer, or any staff member must be reported back on council. So this is the authority that you give for the delegation to perform that authority, to execute the authority, and to come back to council and report back on it. That's the way I understand the law. Am I correct? So you don't have to add that as a recommendation 3. That's why I'm mentioning it. Thank you, Rihanna. Alderman Gericke, thank you.
Yeah, Speaker, thank you, and thank you to all the role players for reaching this milestone, arriving here, and also grateful that we've been part and parcel of this out-of-the-box way of thinking, and in order to implement this. I am, however, somewhat, the municipal manager has, I suppose, deliberately referred to the fact that there is agreement that it will be extended to other municipalities. I'm sure you will recall last year, June, Mr. MM, I have strongly advocated that we should include George as well, and some of the other municipalities because of the housing needs and the backlog in our towns and in our cities. And yes, if you say there is agreement, it might sound very soft on the ear, but I did not read this in the memorandum of agreement that says distinctly, explicitly, that there is agreement that it will be rolled out. I am very, very delighted that this project is, the Knysna and Bito municipalities are earmarked or identified as priority areas. One should think that if you look at a town like George, for instance, with a massive, huge housing backlog, that George should have been prioritized as well. And I want to tell you, the last paragraph on page 3 says, introduction says, Southern Cape Development Corridor was approved. There cannot be a corridor in the Southern Cape if you exclude all the other towns. There's a strong plea from my side that we must include George and other towns as well, even if you don't include it in the initial stages or phases, that you just add whatever, an addendum or an annexure to say that there is agreement that the project will be extended to other towns and cities. Thank you very much. I don't know what is the thing with Knysna and Bito, but certainly there's a thing. This is why you're pulling all the resources that side. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Alderman. Elder Lady Wolmerans. I thought I heard Lebombo. But thank you, Elder Lady Wolmerans.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to second the proposal of Councillor Spies.
Thank you for the input. Amen.
Now, Speaker, we take note of the comments. Indeed, this is a draft agreement. When the mayor concludes the agreement, he will take into account the submissions by councillors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a proposal seconder. We had to debate. That concludes the open council meeting. We then move to the closed session. And I would like to thank everyone that has tuned in. Thank you for your interest in what the Garden Route does, district municipality. We appreciate your involvement. We would love to enhance public participation. Furthermore, we are a municipality that's accountable at all times. That is not for public consumption, and that is why council now has to go into closed session. In old times, they used to call it in committee, but then we got a new dispensation, a new